Then we have the co-main event of the evening. And this fight order might change. I believe the Chris Curtis fight should be the co-main event, but it is what it is. No big deal. Doesn't matter where you are on the fight card. It's the same fight. We got Thiago Moises taking on Trey Ogden. Thiago Moises is an interesting guy because, as I mentioned, my process for breaking down fights every week is I do the graphics first. And when I do the graphics, sometimes numbers will jump off at me and I'll remember them. And every time I do Thiago Moises, I'm like, this guy's not even 30? That is crazy. He has been around forever. I feel like he's the 35-year-old in this matchup because he's been around so long and he's fought so many people. But he's not even 30 years old, so we have to assume he hasn't even peaked. He's a very slick grappler. He does a great job of staying dangerous while being composed. He maintains position, but he's still working towards something. Even though he is primarily a grappler who looks for submissions, he averages more than 2 takedowns per fight. He's got some good technical striking, and he can hang with most people. He uses solid low kicks to set up those takedowns. He is surprisingly young, as I mentioned, given his experience, but he is coming off that battering loss to Ludovic Klein, where he was dropped twice and taken down. He's taking on Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden is an athletic grappler with solid takedowns and decent power in his hands. He is absolutely a grappler, but if you run through his tape, you'll see that even in his submission wins, he's dropping his opponents with strikes before snatching things up. His takedowns are really well timed. He does an excellent job of lowering his level and shooting blast doubles as his opponents come to him. He's coming off that impressive underdog win over Loik Radzhabov, where he had 4 takedowns. Thiago Moises is the better pure grappler in this matchup, but Kron Gracie was the better pure grappler in his matchup with Bryce Mitchell. And while that is an absurd comparison to make, the point here is that offensive BJJ and defensive BJJ are very different, as is competition BJJ and fighting in a cage. I think Trey can get the takedowns because as good of a grappler as Moises is, his takedown defense is not great. And once they get to the ground, I don't care how much better at grappling Thiago Moises is, he's going to be on his back. So I think Trey Ogden will get the takedowns, stay safe in the guard, and work his way towards a win. I picked Trey Ogden. I bet on Trey Ogden at plus 145. I have no idea what's going to happen to these odds. I might look like a genius come fight night or an idiot when Trey Ogden's plus 280. But for now, I looked at it and I was like, you know what? Trey Ogden's on a bit of a heater. I trust him to wrestle, and this very much feels like a fight where whoever shoots first will win, and I think Trey Ogden is going to shoot first. And that's a thing in this sport. We have plenty of better wrestlers who get taken down. We have plenty of better grapplers who spend a whole fight on their backs and lose. And a lot of that, the common denominator in those fights are who shoots first. And I think Trey Ogden will shoot first, which is why I have picked our man Trey.